Growing up, I was a big fan of the Ultima series of RPGs, particularly Ultima 7. This is a game where practically every discrete thing you can see, outside of mountains, trees and rocks, is actually something you can grab and pick up, or at least interact with in some way. And the different NPCs of the world similarly go about their day interacting with those things, opening shutters in the morning, lighting street lamps in the evening, and sleeping in beds at night. But why even add these kinds of features to a game? Well, it was to help create a world. After all, the motto of Origin Systems was, "We create worlds." Some games, for example the original Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, have worlds that are a little like a map painting in a film, a backdrop against which the player talks to NPCs, or fights them, and maybe loots some containers. But the world of Ultima 7 is no map painting. When I see a pair of shoes, I can actually take them and wear them on my feet. When I see a bed, I can actually sleep in it. Unless somebody else is sleeping in it already, and then you'll need to wake them up first. This is a game where you can even bake bread, taking flour from sacks, mixing the flour with water, putting the dough in the oven, and waiting for it to rise. The overall effect of allowing for all these little interactions and populating the world with all these different tangible things is that it helps the player to believe in the world as a meaningful context. If you'll let me get a bit philosophical for a second, we can think of it like this. Worlds are not simply containers. If a shoe is in a box, the shoe is not transformed, and neither is the box, apart from getting a bit heavier. But a word can transform a sentence. In a similar way, our understanding of the world shapes our perception of things, and the things we encounter in the world shape our perception of that world. On some level, a video game world where we can take a book from a shelf and read it feels to us like a world that actually has books, and which is a world that has writers and history, quills and paper and so on. That doesn't mean that this approach to video game worlds is inherently superior. It depends on what you are trying to make the player feel, how you want them to engage with the game. But if you do want the player to feel connected to the game world they are in, having a lot of tangible things you can interact with is a very powerful approach. And this is part of what I wanted to achieve with Inkeep. The basic starting point for the game is that the player should feel like they are running a fantasy world in, not as some invisible entity like in a management tycoon, but as an embodied avatar who has to move about the space, lighting chandeliers, pouring beer, chopping ingredients, and washing dishes. You need to physically grab trays of food, barrels, used bowls, firewood, other people's possessions maybe, and decapitated heads on occasion. All these little interactions that you do might seem a bit like drudgery, but the real point is to help you feel connected to the space that is the Weary Pilgrim Inn, as a meaningful context or simple repeated domestic interactions with different things. The Weary Pilgrim can be a little scary at times, what with the beheadings and the demon summoning, but ultimately it's a place for you to feel at home. Like a sentence has words, and a song has notes, an inn has tables, benches, barrels, cauldrons, tankards, bowls, candles, beds, trapdoors, stables, firewood, fireplaces, guests, and a busy innkeeper. That's you.